You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show.
Our engineer is surprising us. Marissa's surprising us with this exercise song.
To the Space Jam. Is that a workout song?
Why not? I mean, I remember it very well. I remember watching this movie in 5th grade.
It's a good movie, for sure.
Welcome, everyone, to the Real Housewives of Orange County After Show. Season 9, Episode 9, Not a Good Day, L.A. I'm Grant Rudder, your host, and with me...
Tiffany Williams. Hello, hello.
Sterling is not here today, so we have lovely Tiffany filling in. So we have a lot to say. We're going to have a fresh perspective on the season in general and this episode, so let's get to it. We have a lot to get into.
Yes, we do.
I want to know, what do you think so far of the season? We're 9 episodes in. I think it's been kind of slow. We've all heard what I've had to say for the last few weeks. So what is your perspective?
It's definitely moving kind of slow, but this is what you expect with The Real Housewives of Orange County. It's a slower show, especially compared to the other housewives. Like, Atlanta is always up here.
Yeah.
And the Housewives of Orange County kind of handle things a little more delicately.
True.
So it moves a little slower, but I think it's still pretty good.
Do you feel like we're going to reach like a point of, where it's going to get kind of crazy? Or do you think that this is pretty much the tone of the rest of the season?
I don't think it's going to get that crazy. They're just not that crazy, but it's their fickle drama that keeps us all interested every season. Like,
True.
It's how silly they can be and how much money they can spend that keeps us watching, I think. But I don't know. Who knows?
I think everything's going to come to a head when we get to this trip. I don't know anything about the trip. It's not coming up like next week or anything, but we always have these housewife trips, so it's coming. And I think that's when you get everyone so close and there's like
right.
all
And
that tension.
They can't go anywhere. They're forced to be with each other. Yeah, maybe you're right. I can't wait to see that too.
Well, Good Day LA, a show that we ripped last week a little bit here. A show that I really don't care for. I think it's kind of cheap. But, Heather Dubrow has been co-hosting this show, and she told Tamara, of course, she was going to get Tamara's Cut Fitness on, new business, great promotion. And, we learned last week that, of course, Heather didn't have any say over booking, so that's why Tamara wasn't on previously. And now everyone's getting ready at 5:30 in the morning. And, we cut from Tamara and Eddie getting ready. And then we cut to Heather's house, which this just drove me crazy, this part of the episode. Because Terry said, oh, who's going to be on the show today? Well, Tamara's going to be on with Cut Fitness. And it was really so set.
It was produced.
Yeah.
The producers told him to wake up at that hour so that he could ask her that question.
Yep.
But it was kind of awkward, too. Like, the tension that Tamara had in her house with Eddie, because they hadn't spoken to each other at all.
Her and Heather, yes.
Right.
Heather mentioned that her holidays were good, but it started off a little rough because of the holiday party. And, I don't know, I just feel really, you're spending the holidays, you're healthy, you have your children, you're building this beautiful home. I think, life is going pretty great for you. To say that your holidays were kind of rough because of a housewife episode where you got into an argument and had a fake phone call to get out of it, but doesn't really destroy them.
They ganged up on her, and they set her up for a trap and every other big word that she could use to describe the ambush situation.
Yeah.
She's so dramatic.
Yeah, I don't know if that would really destroy anyone's holiday season. Shannon said the same thing. She's like, it was good, but I just really can't get past Heather. And I'm like, okay. I mean, even Shannon came out and said that in her blog, basically, I'm not always talking about Heather. It seems that I'm constantly obsessing, but I'm really not. And that's the way it's cut. I mean, everything Shannon's saying, for the most part, if it's not her husband, it's Heather's
Heather.
destroying her life.
Right.
Really, over the top in its own way. But I mean, I feel bad for Shannon. We'll get into that in a minute. I do. So Good Day LA I don't know if anyone was producing this show, but they got there and, of course we did see people talking to them in the car, the producers, but they ran onto set. It didn't seem like they had any type of, walkthrough or any type of just like dry blocking of like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do this. We didn't see everything, but to me, there was a lot missing. Heather wasn't even dressed appropriately in time to get on set. And then she was there, but she had her shoes untied. Before we get to that, though, there was no, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the show. No hugs between Heather and Tamra at all.
Right, and Tamra described that as frosty. And what was kind of striking about it was that Heather knew exactly what she was doing. She purposely didn't make an effort to go and talk to her. She didn't make an effort to give her some tips on how she can make the segment better. She didn't do anything. And on top of that, she was late to the segment.
Yep.
Because she needed to change into her workout outfit.
And I mean, she mentioned she had something like 1:47 seconds. But when live TV is equipped for things like that, there are dressers, there are things put into place.
Right.
Maybe not have her on the segment before, or cut to the weather chick. I mean, so she can run off and change. It was just not. I mean, again, this is not, the Today Show producing here. It's just Good Day LA, but still, I thought it was in very poor taste the way that Heather did not approach Tamra at all. They didn't reach out. She didn't give her any tips because, like you said, she wanted to kind of let Tamra kind of pay for, bringing up and being spiteful the week before. But I mean, as a host of a show, and this is not her first time on the show, she's invited Tamra on the show as a guest. It's just in very poor taste to really leave someone out there hanging. If Tamra only had a segment, let's be real, this segment was probably only like barely 3 minutes long. If you're going to go as far as invite this girl on that you do still consider a friend, even though you're not talking, but, you're not in a huge blowout argument where, it's completely over. They recover things pretty quickly. Why wouldn't you want this girl to get the most time and the most out of it as possible?
Well, she also had to know that their silence would have affected the segment. And it seems like, friends aside, as a host, you would go the extra mile just to make sure that the segment runs smoothly. Mm-hmm. That means working out your dressing situation like the day before, or not changing clothes at all when you know you only have 3 minutes to get out of your fancy blazer and jeans and into some spandex.
I think you need to be the bigger person. I mean, this girl, I'm sure Good Day LA will ask her back, but it just makes her look so catty. It really gives women a bad name to show that women can't do business together.
But women are catty. Surprise, women can be quite catty. And I think that they love her so much at the show that the producers were probably rolling their eyes in the back of their heads like, where the heck is this girl? Because who does that really? And make it so bad, she ran out there with no microphone. I'm sure the people in the control room were having a fit. Because that's awful.
No, I'm not even blaming Heather for that. That's the production's problem.
That's hers, because she probably didn't even tell them that she was changing clothes.
I don't know. I think if someone's standing there holding her mic pack, someone's responsible putting that on her.
Because she forgot she left it in the dressing room. Is what happened. So they're like, "Where's our mic?" And they're like, "She forgot it."
Yeah. Again, this is not the Today Show. This is Good Morning America. So okay.
And full disclosure, Good Day LA is probably the worst morning show in LA. It's not the highest rated. I think KTLA is the number 1. Good Day LA kind of falls in the number 3 slot. So it's not the most prestigious show at all. So, but having them there, I don't think that they saw any wrong in what Heather was doing, because the guy anchor obviously has a crush on Heather too. Caught a little smooching action behind the scenes there. But it seems like they adore her.
Yeah. I just thought it was the ultimate sign of being rude.
Absolutely.
The way she was seated at the desk, saying how great it was that she's there and everything. And Tamra's watching her on the monitor live, the live feed, and it's like, I couldn't believe that she couldn't even knock on her door to make sure that Tamra got there and that the segment's ready and that, are you excited? Even just say hello.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we can expect too much from these people. But what's funny to me is that Heather will never see a wrong in her ways, and we'll get to that too.
Right. Mhm. Yeah, Heather she mentioned something like that she said, I don't want to be late. So like was it rude that like I'm, taking this time to get ready? Like, yeah, it is.
What's shocking is that she's even questioning herself, which makes me know that she realizes an error in in her ways. But she's like, I didn't know. I'm not sure. Was that rude? I'm like, yeah, Heather, you're rude.
Yeah. Very.
Very rude.
And Vicky and her daughter they're having this little get together to reveal this gender of the baby. We didn't see Vicky much this episode, but she was there. We saw that her daughter Brianna's having a boy.
Seems like they all wanted a girl, though.
It seems like Vicky really wanted a girl.
Right.
It seems she kept saying that her daughter wanted wanted a daughter, but it seems Vicky wants a granddaughter more than anything else.
You never can tell with those two. Brianna keeps it pretty stone-faced when she's dealing with her mom, but yeah, a boy it is.
Nothing you can do. Not a bad thing either.
Bad thing either. But yeah, that was kind of awkward, the whole reveal. Do people do that normally? I have no idea.
My father actually was telling me about a gender what is it? A gender reveal party.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Apparently there was one. He went fishing or something, and they're having one in the park. So
it's not specific to the OC.
no, that was in Rhode Island.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, on the opposite corner of the world.
Well, a happy gender reveal party.
Yeah. Well, so basically Vicky's daughter saw blue balloons, but we're looking at this pink book right here. How's that for a transition?
Ta-da! Good transition.
Yes, recently announced that it's on the New York bestseller list, The Evergirl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, and we'll show it right here. And great book to pick up, good summer read, especially with trying to get in shape. It's still not too late, so check it out. It has great reviews, and we here at AfterBuzz can't stop discussing it. It's great.
It's actually a really good book, and it's an easy read, and I highly recommend it because it is bikini season, and it's necessary. And Maria, her before and after pictures are so amazing, so I highly suggest it.
Me as well. Me as well.
Every guy's guide.
Yeah, no, it's great. Now, moving on to Tamara and Heather plans this lunch, and it's time for them to really kind of discuss what's going on, which is really nothing, but it's like, okay, I didn't like how we kind of interacted at the studio at Good Day LA, so where did they go? They went to
The Fig and Olive, which is a really nice restaurant. I didn't realize how nice it was. I have never been there, but I've heard great things.
It looked nice. I would go. Yeah.
Me too.
But I wouldn't want to be in this conversation.
Absolutely.
It started off a little tense, but these conversations where they ever have to sit down to lunch, and you made a comment, you're like, why do they have to go to lunch?
It just always bothers me because you're not going to have a nice meal. It's never going to make it to a point where you can be civil. You're going to be crying the whole lunch. Why don't you just do it at home?
I wonder if they're really even going to eat lunch, because if you're taping a show, do you want to be like filling your face with a salad and the camera's there? It's kind of like, okay, by going after her and saying to everybody basically that Heather didn't put me on the show. She didn't want me to be on the show. So Heather really kind of confronted it, and Tamara really felt that she's still in the right. These women really didn't resolve this.
That first issue, yeah.
Yeah, they both feel very strongly either way.
Well, it seems like they won't resolve it. They just need to move on. What Tamara doesn't understand is the inner workings of a television show, and how producers, in this case, probably wanted Heather to feel comfortable by giving her someone that she would feel comfortable with the first time. And Heather probably could have insisted on having Tamara on. What I didn't understand about the whole thing, you guys probably talked about this last week, was how ungrateful Tamara was the whole time. Like, she had no right to be complaining.
I'll get more into that, because we had similar situations, or similar viewpoints last week. So you really think that Tamara was the one that kind of just, was ungrateful in the situation?
I feel like she was completely out of place. For someone to be offering you a slot, even though it's not first, you're still offered a slot. And Vicky kind of said this too. It's like a free commercial. Be thankful. Why are you complaining? You don't think so?
No, I do. I just think that, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a little biased against Heather, but I just kind of feel like Heather was like, I see where you're coming from as well. I don't know, I just feel like Heather could have tried harder or like not real. I don't know.
Heather's not my favorite person either. Like, let that
Yeah.
be known. But it's still any slot on a TV show is a good thing,
True.
even if it's not the first one.
Yeah, I mean, and it was mentioned that Tamara really should view it as a gift.
Right.
And she did come across a little, but it was because she was really just hurt, I think, because it was Heather's workout studio that she goes to that was on. So it was almost like, you know, just, I'm going to showcase where I go first. But I mean, I think most of us would do that.
Right. Like, is she wrong for doing that? I guess it seems like a bigger issue would be, why does Heather not go to Tamara's workout studio?
That's a good question.
That's like a more valid issue to fight over to me.
Right.
But later in that lunch, we learn about Tamara's pent-up frustrations.
Yeah, with the baby.
Right.
And apparently, and this has been out there, that Tamara really is kind of going through this custody battle with her ex-husband.
And it seems like that was kind of what was fueling her anger towards Heather the whole time, was the fact that she had this custody battle going on, and then the whole issue with Heather and Eddie about the party.
Right.
So up until that point, Heather was on the defense about not doing anything wrong.
And at the party, when Heather confronted Eddie about having a baby.
Right. And at that party, like, I think when we all saw it, we knew that it was kind of a shady thing that she was doing to talk to him. It was like her way of getting back to the girls for calling her stuck up. Was by talking to Eddie. And the whole season, Tamara hasn't addressed it up until this point, which is odd that she
Right.
kind of waits to do it now. But she revealed that that's why she was so pissed off about the Good Day LA thing. It wasn't the whole gym thing. It was the fact that she talked to Eddie.
About the baby.
About the
And
baby.
then he went and told her, like, don't tell your friends about our business.
Right.
And I mean, especially not on camera either, which definitely probably didn't help things. It'd be one thing if it was something known between maybe like 4 or 5 people, but to do it all on camera too, I think that's where the real frustration came from
Right.
Tamara.
And Heather surprisingly admitted that she was wrong. Because up until this point, Heather has defended every single shady action that she has done. And this was the first time she was like, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry for talking to Eddie. And I thought that was good of her. Like, I'm glad to see a human side of Heather where she can admit that she's wrong.
Yeah. So do you think it was completely genuine on her part? Like she really just kind of dug deep and apologized?
She is an actress.
Well, with that, I'm going to say, we want to know what you think. Please rate and comment us, but especially comment, because I'm curious to know if you think Heather was genuine in her apology, or like we think she might be acting a little bit. I mean, she had a genuine look of concern, and I think she really did dig deep and then made an apology. I'm going to be on the defensive of Heather and say, you know, I think she really did mean it, but I'm curious. I mean, these two have been going back and forth, and we know that Heather does not admit she's wrong. Ever. So what do you think? Tell us. Let us know.
But, you know, at the end of that conversation, she said, you know, you have to cut me some slack. Because they have been through a lot at the end of the day. She was in Tamara's wedding. So they're friends. And they shouldn't be bickering about smaller things. So hopefully they work out. Who knows?
Yeah, Heather likes to remind us that she was in Tamara's wedding.
I know.
often.
I stood by your side, she always says.
So let's jump to Lizzie real quick. We saw her judging the Miss Santa Monica pageant. We learned more about her pageant past. And basically, we learned what we already know. She wants to have another kid. And her husband seems to kind of be like a lackluster frat type of guy who's really not probably the sharpest dad yet, but that could just easily be the way they're editing him to make him look like he's like letting the kids run the house.
You know, I'm not convinced that she wants to have another kid. Because every time she says she wants to have another kid, she also says, I'm not sure I should have another kid. And I feel like this is her way of proving her importance in this episode or in the season. And it seems like also with the pageant, she needed to find something to validate her.
Yeah.
Because she's not just a housewife, she always says, or not just a mom.
Right.
So the pageants were her escape and her way of getting away from dirty diapers. So does she really want a kid?
Did she want the mother to raise the third kid, or just basically do like it sounded like the woman was going to be like a late night nurse maid, you know?
Exactly. Well, she did. Her mother played a big role in the other two kids in bringing them up. So this time when mom said, I don't know if I can do it a third time, well, that also was like a red flag for Lizzie on the kid front. Like, I think that also made her second guess.
Yeah, but I mean, Lizzie can't expect her mother to, especially someone who lives part-time in Kentucky, to really be there for her. I mean, she has to, you know, if Lizzie's such a busy mom, that she says she's got to do it on her own.
But that's what grandmothers are for.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, to like get up in the middle of the night and take care of screaming kids. I mean, it's one thing to come over with a toy and like sit with the kid while the parents are out to dinner. But if like the two parents are in bed and the grandmother's running around the house and it's 2:30 a.m., I mean,
I know. It's
You know.
kind of, their relationship is kind of weird. And even Lizzie, like, I'm not convinced that she loves her husband.
really?
Not love. Maybe love is a strong word, but the whole time she's kind of low key ragging on him. Like, he's not a good parent. He's like, who's in charge? Is it the kid in charge or is the dad in charge? He doesn't like to change diapers. He's not very present, it seems, in the kids' lives. And so she kind of complains about that on the side. It seems like an issue that she wants to address and just hasn't yet.
So I think that we just see so little of these people's lives that it might just be painted that way.
Right.
I'm not really
Well,
sure.
that's the other thing. You never really know with any of these women because of the magic of editing.
Yeah, true. And like everyone's marriage is in trouble, and if it isn't, it's great. You know, it's
Right.
like one or the other, total polar opposites. Yeah. So Lizzie, I think Lizzie's good when she's with the other women,
Right.
but when she's on her own, it's boring. I'm really not interested in the phone call with her son. Wasn't interesting. You know, I don't really find her relationship with her husband that, you know, gripping. The mother cut her finger out with a knife, and we had to hear about that.
That was the climax of her scene this
Yeah.
episode.
But I will say she is beautiful, and when she posted her pictures at the end of that that pageant, she really is stunning.
She
I
is
think she's
beautiful,
gorgeous.
even
Yeah.
no matter what Vicky says. She is beautiful.
I feel like they haven't really immersed her and let her go free with these housewives. You know, we see Shannon who turns to these women at different times. They have one-on-ones. Shannon really, she started off and she was in the middle of it from episode 1. And Lizzie still is more like a commentator.
Well, I wonder too if that, because they kind of have those roles in these episodes, but she is a full part of the cast, it seems, but she just is slow to make friends. Like she's kind of treading slowly and carefully, as I would too if I was having to make friends with those women.
I don't see her getting rowdy. I don't see her yelling. I don't see her really getting into feuds. I don't know.
Well, she seems to be pretty direct, and she shuts down any sort of behind the back talking. Like she doesn't engage in that at all, which is kind of like she's definitely the least catty housewife.
Yeah, and I feel like they always need to have one of these like boring housewives. like in Atlanta, there's Cynthia, who I don't really see her doing much of anything. She
Cynthia-
has her moments.
She has her moments. She's had more than Lizzie, that's for sure.
That's true, but I mean, of course, the barometer is totally different with the Real
With the
Housewives in
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Like, I mean, Cynthia, as little as she's doing in Atlanta, she's probably doing the most
Right.
in Orange County.
Exactly.
And then in Beverly Hills, it was kind of, who was it? Like Kim, could we say, was kind of,
Kim and Brandy.
well, Brandy was
Brandy
the crazy
one, yeah. Yeah, Kim was probably, well, that's why she got the axe too, right?
I don't know. There's been so many rumors surrounding that show. Apparently, no one's even signed on because there's a bunch of contract disputes. I'm not sure what's going on with that show.
Well, I don't know, Lizzie, if you're listening, you better drama.
I
Get some
know.
drama in your life,
I
girl.
know it's time to like start taking notes so you can go in with like Venom at that reunion, because that's your only last chance.
Exactly. You got to take it up a notch because they will give you the axe
Yeah.
quickly.
Well, that's what's interesting, and I wanted to say this when we were watching it. But with someone like Vicky, we see the real authentic her. She just lets it rip. She says what she wants. She has these relationships with people. They might be good, great, or bad, but she really isn't very so rehearsed because she knows she's safe. She's an original. When season 10 comes on, she'll be there holding an orange. She just knows it. But with these other series, like someone like Kenya Moore on Atlanta, And even the new chicks on Beverly Hills, like Carlton and all these other people, they really feel as though they have to be in these arguments and these feuds and be constantly in everyone's face to have a lot going on because they need to be there for the next season. So it's like, especially I feel like in Atlanta, all those people are doing their best to stand out from the group so they can either get their spinoff or get signed on for another season.
I think that's the name of the game in reality TV is creating longevity for yourself. And how do you do that?
Right.
Drama.
Right.
That's how you create longevity in the reality TV field.
But I like the genuine quality of Vicky because she's crazy. I just like that she's not there to try to get another season. She's just being her. And I feel like we're getting her. Where these others, we're kind of getting like these characters. And I understand, like if I was on a reality show, I'd probably have my own character myself.
I
But
think it's
just
safe to
refreshing.
say it's safe to say that Vicky's a little crazy. Don't you think? Like she's a little crazy, and maybe that was like a good casting choice. Like whoever found Vicky found a good thing.
Yeah.
So she
She's an
knows.
original.
Yeah, she knows that her spot is there to stay because
Right.
she is, you know, a part of it. She is Orange County at
She
this point
is,
because
yeah.
everyone else is kind of come and gone.
Right.
So Vicky's crazy.
Well,
and
Tamara's hung on for a while too. And I
Yeah.
think she's really got a lot left, to her on the show as well.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like beyond those two, anybody else is interchangeable.
it's a revolving door, and I imagine like that has something to do with Orange County too. It seems a little bit more subdued down there and a little calmer.
Yeah.
So maybe it's hard to find some.
Oh, remember former housewife Lynn Curtin?
Oh
She was
my
a
goodness,
disaster.
she was a disaster.
But I mean, I got a kick out of her, but she was not housewife material. She didn't bring anything. She didn't even know her own house was practically in foreclosure. She had no idea.
Well, that's usually the case with these women. They're not involved in the financial aspect of things. Their husbands take care of it.
Well, speaking of husbands and wives, Shannon is in for it with her marriage. Apparently, she's telling people. Well, she's telling in the interview basically that her husband David sent her an email because that's how they wanted to kind of go about discussing their feelings since they. I'm gonna break it down. They only see each other for like 3.5 hours a day because he goes to bed at 8:30 and she's up until 1 a.m. And I don't think beyond that they're tight. I mean, she spoke of when things were really good with her husband and they connected, and she only said it was that time when they went to the St. Regis, which was kind of a joke.
It was kind of a joke, but that was like the most romantic thing that's happened to them in a
Yeah.
long time is to go to the hotel down the street.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like that grand. It's like
No.
that room I wasn't that impressed. I mean, I liked the St. Regis, but that, I mean, that wasn't anything like, you're not getting me a penthouse suite.
Yeah, well, she lives in there.
I guess.
Given where she comes from, like, she doesn't really need a fancy hotel.
That's true, but I do. I would want a fancy hotel. I'd expect it.
Well, considering that he does nothing for her, I was shocked that he wined and dined her. But I can't say that because I feel bad for her husband. I'm always going to feel bad for her husband because I feel like Shannon, she says that they fight a lot. It seems like when he comes home, she's ready to lay it on and just kind of give him a hard time. And I understand her point about not feeling loved and not feeling like he needs to put the relationship first. But it's funny to me that Tamra describes Shannon as a sad, sad, sad soul.
It's true. She looks like it.
She looks run down, and she does remind me of Tamra early on and a few seasons back when she was going through her divorce. It's almost a spitting image.
They both felt unloved. They had a lousy relationship with their husband. No, they're like, and I think maybe even David looks a little bit like Simon. I know that has nothing to do with it, but
A little bit. The salt and
Yeah.
pepper, gray hair,
yeah.
gray suits, businessman. Yeah.
It shows that. I mean, like, with all the money they have, and they have, 3 beautiful daughters, but, like, it's just not working.
There was
It's sad.
one thing that she said about not seeing her husband enough because he goes to bed at 8:30. That's like most working households
8:30?
situation. But like
That's ridiculous.
But she sees
8:30.
her husband for 3 to 4 hours a day. That's normal, especially when both people work. She doesn't even work. So,
Right.
newsflash, you're not going to see your husband all the time unless neither one of you works.
I mean, then she said, like, she could, like, go to bed at 8:30 with him, which isn't a way she doesn't, but, like, what's that gonna fix? I don't know. She has work to do on the computer, apparently. I don't know what's going on with her. But, I mean, she really does look run down. I think this show, it's curious. I'm curious why they cast her, and I have no problem with her being cast, but I feel like this show kind of came in and, like, kind of like saved her a little bit, because I feel like she's on this spiral, and Tamara said she drinks way too much, and they showed a little shot of her while her husband was doing math with one of those daughters. She was mixing a drink, right? Was that what was going on?
She's always drinking, but isn't that the MO of a housewife? To have a drink in your hand at all times. Tamara is happily married, and she drinks like a fish still.
True.
So I think she's fine. I think this show is good in introducing her to more friends, because it seems like she could use a shoulder to cry on sometimes.
Anyone that's even watched one other Housewife franchise know that Shannon has all the ingredients for a divorce.
Exactly.
It's sad to say I don't wish divorce on her, but I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It's really sad to see, because every time her and her husband are together, they are bickering and fighting.
So
and,
that's what we see. You know.
Well, Shannon admitted, too, that they do have a banter going on, but sometimes he cuts her a little deep, and it hurts.
Yeah.
And she kind of carries that with her, it seems, each fight.
So you feel bad for him.
I feel
more.
bad for him, because it seems like he is approaching it nonchalantly. Like, we've seen him out and interacting at the parties that they have. He kind of tries to be cool, easygoing, social with the people. He seems a little fed up and run into the ground though. So I feel bad for him. I feel bad for both of them, actually, because those types of situations just kill your joy completely.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope they work it out.
I thought when she was taking the pillows off the bed and she was discussing how he went to bed, I thought they were going to say, so because of this, we sleep in different rooms. And I was like, oh, there's another ingredient towards a master divorce for sure. She claims divorce is not an option. She and both her husband came from broken homes. So I can understand her wanting to hold on. But, I mean, that's a really tough situation when you really don't want your children to be brought up in two different homes. But, I mean, how do you move on? I mean, those kids are not ready to turn 18. They're not ready to go off to college.
I know, they're very young, considering that she's trying to make it work for the kids.
Yeah.
That's a long time of making it work. And I think it's almost worse that her kids have to watch them bicker.
Yeah. It seems to me that, and I don't know these people, but it seems to me that those 3 kids were like 3 attempts for her to just boost that marriage, and get closer to her husband. And now that, she's not having any more, it's kind of like bottomed out. And it's like, I mean, I'm sure they wanted the children. I'm not saying they don't want them, but it just was like, maybe that was her way of like, cementing that marriage with her husband, having something to share with him. She mentioned that they had like no time before they had kids. It
seems like the first kid, not a mistake, but it was an unplanned pregnancy. And the second 2 were, she has 3, right? Were attempts to kind of make it last a little bit longer. But Shannon mentions that when they do get in those arguments, that they tend to send an email or write a letter in order to help themselves express themselves a little bit clearer. And this last email that David sent was unexpected.
Which I think writing an email is a terrible idea.
Why?
I do. I think because you can get really passive aggressive in there. It's like you really can't say it to your spouse's face. Then like I just think it's ridiculous. I don't really know how that's gonna fix things. I think that's kind of like a last resort type status.
Given how they bicker, I think maybe email might be a good option. It almost seems like something that a therapist told them to do.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, write down your feelings, because it helps you get out everything that you want to say. If you want to go back and delete something so that you're not saying something stupid, you can do that. I kind of see the benefit of writing things down in their case, but not when you want to say something like, I think I should move out.
Yeah.
Like in an email?
Right.
That's something you say face to face.
I just know that every living situation I've had with roommates where I've had to write a letter or something never ended well. That was really the beginning of the end. So that's kind of how just pulling from my own experience. Obviously, I wasn't married to these roommates, and I didn't share children with any of them. Thank God. Thank the Lord. But, just basically like, I wouldn't have done that. But so he's moving out, and then Tamara says in her one-on-one that basically, she said that David said that it was time for them to get a divorce. Now, we saw that Shannon spun it another way. So Which is it?
Yeah, we never saw that. And Tamara does have a way of exaggerating things. So I'm going to wait until they say it. But even Shannon at the end started to acknowledge that divorce is a possibility now that he wants to move out. Seems like it's the first step towards a divorce.
Well, it's certainly not a step towards getting closer. If
No.
you're going to see each other even less,
But I
and someone's
wonder,
out doing who the hell knows what.
if they could use the space to appreciate each other a little bit more, because it seems like that is lacking in their relationship, just a mutual appreciation of each other and each other's time. So maybe this space could be good for them.
Yeah. I just feel bad for her because she's in an impossible situation. I mean, I think if she didn't have those kids, they would have been done.
I don't think so.
No?
She seems like the type of wife that wants to make it work. Like a good wife should, fight for the marriage and not have divorce be an option, especially considering that she's from a broken home. She doesn't want to repeat what her parents did or what his parents did.
Well, yeah, but even if they didn't have the kids, she'd still be with him if they had no children.
Maybe if they had no children, they would not be in this pickle that they're in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
They had kids pretty early, so that kind of kids kind of separate.
I just think marriage isn't for everybody, and it's like, with a lot of people, they reach an expiration date, and I think that happened.
You have a new age approach to marriage, I see.
It's not like what I'm hoping for, but I mean,
That's that 2014 attitude.
we see it happen on all these reality shows.
Yeah.
I mean, they all end badly. So if these people are coming on this show hoping to save their relationship, I mean, the track record of failures, forget it.
Right. It kind of almost, the way it seems is like these women are coming on here as last-ditch effort to create a name for themselves before their husbands leave the picture.
A little bit of Vicky, Tamara.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, let me see what I can get out of this marriage before I call it quits.
Right. I just feel like it's bound to happen, and then maybe not. Then we'll deal with the whole getting the divorce next season, and then the third season will be like independent. And then the next season, if she makes it that
Hot
far,
new guy.
Yep, the new guy. We've seen it happen over and over again.
Exactly.
So why the hell not?
Eddie, I mean, was definitely an upgrade to me
Yeah.
for Tamara, and I love seeing. Good job, Tamara. Good job for
Yeah.
finding Eddie.
Approved. All right, so want to get into some news and gossip, shall we?
Let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So in Orange County, divorce is in the air, and apparently it's striking another couple. I don't know how true this is, but we'll get into it. Apparently, Heather and her husband Terry are ready to call it quits. They've been fighting nonstop. Supposedly, this big house that they're building is just putting them completely over the edge, both financially and romantically and emotionally. This article says, according to sources close to the couple, they have been fighting nonstop, mostly because of the stress they've been dealing with building their new home and their financial situation as well. The Dubrows are constructing a huge, gorgeous Italian villa on the hilltop overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Crystal Cove. And it's a massive undertaking, the source told Radar Online. It requires a lot of patience with Terry working, and Heather has to take on the bulk of the home building issues, and it's trying and tiring. It also went on to say that Terry wanted to go on tour with his rock star brother, but I don't see any of this happening. Terry has multiple children, and he has a very successful plastic surgery business. How can anyone just take off? I'm going to go, see you later, build the house. Someone else can do my plastic surgery. I'm out.
Maybe Terry's having a midlife crisis. He is at that age where he might be wanting to find his inner youth again.
I just think they're so tight. I don't see it happening.
They're tight because Heather is tight. And so
She keeps him close.
She has a tight leash on her family and everything else. And I, like, just watching them together, I could see him probably going crazy. Could you imagine living with Heather Dubrow and being married to her?
I don't know if I know the real her because she's an actress.
She's an actress.
But I am going to say, in my opinion, that is false. I don't believe it.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. These marriages are not built to last. Hopefully that one is. I wish her the best, but I would not be surprised if that was true.
Really?
Yeah.
I read this and said that's BS, but it's interesting that you think that way. God, everyone's getting divorced except for Tamara
Yeah.
at this point. I mean, even Vicky's like, doesn't know what the hell way she's going either.
She has no clue. But does she ever?
No.
No.
And that's why we love her. All right, let's predict a few things, shall we?
So, yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Mr. Eddie. We saw him cradling a fake baby in the previews for this one, and I'm gonna say that he's gonna have a taste of fatherhood, and he's not gonna like it.
Right. I gotta roll my eyes at this one because we had something similar on the Real Housewives of Atlanta where Kenya had one of those mechanical babies.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, we had that. We had a program in my high school where girls had to carry around these babies, and it was kind of like, it's like a joke that expires. Like, I'm like, okay, it's a fake baby and it's gonna cry and pretend to go to the bathroom and you have to take care of it. Like, I don't find it cute, and I'm not really interested in seeing the fake baby come out of a box. I'm not.
It's gonna prepare Eddie for fatherhood. I'm
Yeah.
interested in seeing him struggle
Yeah, I mean, it'll be like comedy
for
you
like
know.
2 minutes and
Yeah.
then next.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll take it. Apparently Heather is discussing this very private email between Shannon and her husband.
Exactly. Duh.
I think that basically that's not going to go well at all. And based on the prediction, Shannon's already pissed back on the hate ride against Heather. And I don't blame her. And I feel bad for Tamara in a way because it's going to come back to her.
You feel bad for Tamara?
I do.
I was actually so surprised that Shannon shared this with, I'm so tongue-tied, that Shannon shared this with Tamara, because in the back of my mind, I was like, she's the last person you need to talk to and tell your personal business to, but I think all of these ladies are going to learn that the hard way sooner or later.
Well, I mean, the formula of the show was that you kind of like, rotate news between all the women, all these various lunches and drinks and parties and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, she's probably wrong to tell Tamara, but it's going to go around, and Shannon's going to learn the hard way that that's kind of how it goes. You really can't be revealing personal information on a television show.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I was Tamara, I would probably do the same thing, not because I'm like a tattletale and a snitch and a bitch and all that, but I feel like, I mean, when you get information, I think, I would mention it probably off camera.
Shame on you. Shame on you. What? That's personal information that
Well, she shouldn't have told me.
that should not go between you two people. Like, no one else should know that. So I feel bad for her because
Shannon went on and told everyone that they were basically going to have a separation. So,
Right.
I mean, it's like, this isn't anything like a long-term family secret.
I don't know. She's fragile, and you have to take care of her feelings as a friend.
Yeah, I mean, would it be the best thing to do? I just feel like we've all been in those situations where we, maybe said something to somebody else that we really didn't mean in a bad way, but it got back to them. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It got back to them, and like you kind of feel crabby about it, but that person isn't going to trust you. You broke it, and it sucks. And I've been there, and so I'm going to feel bad for Tamara from now, but I think everything will work out fine.
Absolutely.
And Heather seems pretty heartless in that confrontation with Shannon when Shannon kind of calls her out for, what the hell are you doing talking about my business with the email? And Shannon like, get out.
I'm done with this conversation. Get out of my house right now.
That's awful.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Heather snap.
You made me feel like a terrible person for not
sorry.
talking to people, when we're talking to people about other people's business.
You
but
should.
We've all done it. We've all done it.
Yeah, I've done it too.
All right. Well, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tiff's Tweets. That's TIFFCTWEETZ.
You can find me on Twitter at Grants__rants. I don't know why I did that. Or on Instagram at GrantMichaelR. Thank you for checking this out, and we'll see you next time when we discuss Orange County.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.